Hello, Earthlings. It's time to reset your cultural dial. Coming your way next on your favorite device, from the Hoosier State to all the ships at sea, it's the Crawfordsville Peachcast. And now, here's your second or third favorite Dave from Indiana, Dave Peach. Warning, other people named Dave may also appear.
Thanks, CD. It is time for the Crawfordsville Peachcast, another Untoasted episode. I'm Dave Peach.
I'm Dave Meyer. So glad to be back, Dave.
Dave, it must be cool where you're at because you've got a long sleeve shirt, and you're wearing a t-shirt.
This is true. My house, a tri-level, Dave, and I don't understand the physics involved. But what that means to me in practicality is during these dog days of summer, the air downstairs is awesome. Okay, great. Keeps it at the cool level. Upstairs, not so good. So when I'm downstairs, I'm applying more clothes in the morning.
Okay. I still don't get it because I've been hot for like 2 months. I've been sweating. I look at a pair of shorts and I immediately they're already sweaty. I mean,
yeah.
I walk out the door, I'm sweating. I'm just it's total misery, but yeah. I've learned to accept it.
We are having a doggedly humid summer, Dave. Let's name it. It's been oppressive, uncomfortable, and not good to go out in.
We are talking today about the movie North Dallas 40 with Nick Nolte, Mac Davis, Charles Durning, Bo Svensson, John Matusak, Steve Forrest, and winner of the Lifetime Achievement Award from Untoasted, G.D. Spradlin. G.D.
What's he going to do, Dave? What could he do?
He lived to a ripe old age, and I've got to watch him completely in Apocalypse Now. I have not seen that one in its entirety. Yeah. I've seen him a little bit. I think he appears shirtless.
I believe you're correct.
And he was, of course, shirtless in Godfather 2 in a famous scene that people still refer to today. This movie was made in 1979. We want to thank Central Indiana Rubber, one of our sponsors here on the show. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff for the Crawfordsville Peachcast. And we go back to 1979, a magic year in cinema. We've done a lot of movies, late 70s, early 80s. This was, how would you describe it? Some people call it a satire. Some people call it a drama. It's about NFL football, maybe a side of the NFL that we were not privy to in the late 70s.
Yeah, I mean, this is, wow. I guess I had never fully watched it. So I guess in my head, it was more of a dark comedy. Whereas after watching it, I would say it's a drama that has satiric and comedic, scenes and kind of underpinnings. But the story here is serious. North Dallas, Dave. The North Dallas Bulls. Right. And so who might they be portraying, possibly?
I don't think it... See, at least they changed it up a little bit.
Yeah, instead of a cowboy, it was a bull. And they added the geographic term north. But our buddy GD eventually dons a very familiar hat in the movie as the head coach. Which, got me into that Tom Landry space. But Dave, this is a pretty interesting movie. I don't know if impressed or what the right word is, but it certainly held my attention the whole time.
It is movie number 66 in the Untoasted series. Now, we've done a couple of football movies. We did The Program with James Caan, and we did Semi-Tough with Bert and Chris Christopherson, I believe, and Joe Clayburgh.
Yes, sir.
So we've seen some football movies. Of course, we're now in 2025 as we tape this, and we have seen Concussion.
Yes.
We have seen the NFL give out $1 billion or whatever to former players to, how would you describe it? Appease them, reward them? How would you describe that settlement that, a lot of people probably don't think about too much today?
Right. Well, the thing that we now know that we didn't know then is the long-term effects of CTE, which you can look that up if you want, as basically if your brain gets struck more times than normal, which is what happens in the course of pro football, there can be long-term negative effects as well as an early death. So I guess we know a lot more now. This movie came out during an era where, or at least this guy wrote it. This is after like Jim Bouton and Ball 4. And, Peter Gent played for Tom Landry. He played for the Dallas Cowboys, late 60s, I believe. And this book came out in 1974. And I wonder, Dave, Semi-Tough comes out in 1977, makes pretty good money, I think. And then this story, which probably would not have attracted a movie, I'm sure at some point then became more serious of a possibility, because I look at the poster and I think immediately that they're trying to do a Semi-Tough kind of thing, when really this story, we have one central character, and that central character is the Nick Nolte character is Phil. And Phil is an aging wide receiver in the NFL who's been successful, but he's now he has some, I guess, permanent damage or injuries that are lingering. He's not as, not as fast, or he's considered at the end of his career, I would say. And that's he's kind of our protagonist that we follow through this movie and get a pretty accurate portrayal of what the NFL was like. Now, I will say this as we get into it, before we try to nail any more of it. The novel, Dave, according to what I have researched, was a lot darker. Basically contained more sex, more violence, more substance abuse than was in the movie. And Dave, there was a bit of all that in the movie. So, I would say Hollywood, if it's possible, they kind of whitewashed a little bit of the story to make it more probably attractive and plausible to an audience that had no real kind of behind the scenes look at what pro football was at this time. And another part about this that's hard to maybe place in perspective is at the time that he's writing this book, and even when this, is coming out, baseball is still the biggest thing. America's pastime and our obsession with the National Football League is not, it's not fully flowered at this point in the 70s. So the NFL wasn't as big of an entity to take on, I would say, at this point. So those are a few things.
Central Indiana Rubber Products provides the power for you. Central Indiana Rubber Products, or CIR, keeps farm equipment and local manufacturing processes running with gaskets, belts, seals, and O-rings, among a variety of other products and services. Employee-owned and always customer-focused. Central Indiana Rubber Products, 989 West, 83 North, Crawfordsville, and at indianarubber.com. Central Indiana Rubber Products, or CIR, power for you.
But Dave, what did you think of the movie?
A gritty movie about football with beer and dope.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm calling balls and strikes here. I know it's a football movie. A lot of B12 shots.
A lot of B12. I may need to look that up. What is in B12? I've not experienced that.
They did date some women. There were parties.
Yes.
There was a lot of recovery. A lot of stretching and trying to recover and trying to a lot of pain. It was a lot of pain. A lot of pain.
I felt many
pain.
forms.
I felt a lot of pain.
Bo Svensson very upset a lot.
He was fighting among teammates. For some reason, at a party, they threw a television set into the pool.
Yeah, that was not. We didn't see whatever motivated that.
I didn't get that. I mean, was that sort of I don't know. Here comes a big guy with a TV. He's going to throw it right in the middle of the pool at the party. And here's what I said. If you enjoy watching people in pain grunting, this is your movie.
Dave, that captures it. How many words, Dave? Count the words.
I think after one of these podcasts, I should just go around the station. Oh, give me a B12 shot. What an episode. I'm spent. I mean, we're not, this has got to be the softest job in the world, sitting here with a microphone in front of you talking about stuff. I mean, this is in an air-conditioned office, this is not playing football. This is not going out there on what's late July, early August at a training camp doing all this stuff. I mean, we are fortunate to be watching this. And I don't know about you, Dave, but as I watched this movie, one thing that did strike me is there's not a better place to practice than a gymnasium.
And it looked like a junior high gym. Dave.
Indoor gymnasium, running your plays. And, okay, I'll give you that. I give you that. It's raining outside, and you've gone into the gymnasium. Hey, everybody, let's go to the middle school gym. But then you, play tackle?
Right. I mean, Nick Nolte got tackled. We saw it, Dave. I mean, that was on a hardwood floor, and this was a movie where I'm assuming people got hurt, really got hurt.
Along the way, we learn, we find out about early analytics from our friend G.D. Spradlin, and he was Coach B.A. Struthers. Apparently, they thought, your real name has initials, so your coach name will have two initials too.
Yes.
B.A. Struthers.
B.A. And what do you think B.A. stood for, Dave?
I'm not sure.
Well, this was, because I only say that because wasn't Mr. T's name on the show the A-Team? Wasn't he B.A.?
Well, that would be, so that you're saying that the A-Team based it on this guy.
No. I'm just thinking that, I don't know, that was a popular acronym initial, BA. Bad attitude, possibly?
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be. But he has, there's nothing like GD mad and talking at you, right?
He's got good hair.
Oh, incredible hair in this one. Maybe his best hair of all the movies, Dave.
I got to say, he looked kind of young. He almost looked younger than he did in Godfather 2, which is a movie that was,
they did make
years.
him. They did make him the shirt off scene in Godfather, Dave. He was taxed at the moment.
Yeah, he was having trouble. So Nick Nolte dates two women. Is that right? Along the way.
Okay. Yes, there's the Suzanne Flechette kind of woman, right?
Yes.
And then there is the one who's involved with Dabney Coleman as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she. So I'm not sure. Okay, the Suzanne Flechette one, who he's with more throughout the movie, we don't identify. She's independently wealthy, is what I got.
Yeah, she's got a house and doesn't have to work.
Yeah. And but we didn't really get it like she inherited.
Thus independently wealthy. Yeah, you have a house and you don't have to work.
She had that, Dave.
Two tenets of being independently wealthy.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah,
I'd say. So but there was never really resolution or even much. I guess he kind of talked to the one at the end, right? after he showed her where he wanted to live with his ranch, which I guess we can project he maybe got to.
So he bought that ranch with his football money.
Bought the ranch with his football money, and I thought he said he had like 20 acres or whatever, and he had a trailer at that point on it. But yeah, it was painful to watch. I would say Nick Nolte did a very good job of acting in the movie. And I'll give credit. I think Mac Davis was even maybe better than I wanted to give him credit for. But this is Nick Nolte's movie. You know, it's not a Shake and Billy Clyde situation here. We're kind of following through Phil's world.
You're going back to Semi-Tough.
I know, I'm jumping around.
Yeah, Dave. It's kind of the same thing. Mac Davis's voice, though, when he talks, it's almost like he's singing.
Yeah.
That voice is so distinctive.
Yes.
I didn't really think about that, but Mac Davis, when he's singing, it's Mac Davis, and I don't know who would be a close. I don't know who would be a knockoff Mac Davis. Maybe BJ Steven, BJ guy,
Thomas.
BJ Thomas. Yeah. Whatever happened to old-fashioned love?
I would say the thing too about you're so right, Mac Davis. His voice is distinctive because it is very much a West Texas dialect. And in fact, I heard there's an actor I heard a few years ago that was being basically trained for a part, and he needed to have a West Texas accent, and the dialect coach basically gave him Mac Davis. If you basically can become, you can mimic Mac Davis, you can, kind of own this West Texas drawl. And Mac Davis had a great career as a songwriter, right? He wrote, stuff like for Elvis. He wrote In the Ghetto. I think he wrote Suspicious Minds. A lot of stuff. Now, I don't think his acting career was as steady or as stellar. After this, I believe he did The Sting 2 with Jackie Gleason.
Wow. That's like Grease 2.
Yeah, it was not. He did also a movie.
Can I say something real quick?
Please, Dave.
I want to say something real quick. I want to get this on record. Worst sequel of all time, bar none.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Grown Ups 2.
Grown Ups 2. I knew the 2 was going to be at the end.
It was bad.
Okay.
Anyway, but I would say Grease 2 and Sting 2.
Grease 2. I've heard that about Caddyshack too.
Like Romeo and Juliet 2. It just doesn't sound right.
Didn't they try to do a follow-up? Wouldn't Casablanca have a sequel at some point?
I think they might have. Macbeth 2.
It's not. It just doesn't flow. Doesn't flow.
Let's get back to the movie.
Let's get back to. But let me just say one other thing about this movie is, folks, if you've watched pro football movies in the last 10 to 15 years and you were disgusted by the six packs and the roided up bodies, well, folks, you're not going to have that problem with North Dallas 40. Because when they show, Bo Svensson is like built up as the killer monster of the team. And when they showed Bo with his shirt off, Dave, I was thinking I just saw my uncle Jim, right there in the weight room.
Well, it wasn't a 12-month-a-year sport. And, a month before training camp, you probably did 20 push-ups and 30 sit-ups and think you're pretty much ready to go.
You got back at it. This is also there were more than one moment in the movie when Charles Durning encouraged the players to put out their cigarettes. So again, with today's world, if anybody would be working a heater on the sidelines, Dave, I mean that would be picked up. But this was the era of that kind of talk.
We have evolved mightily as far as sports goes, and society as well. This movie, really is dated in many ways.
Yeah. I will say this, and I wonder,
it's almost like a movie that was made in 1979.
It could be. It
could,
felt that a
very
little bit.
similar. Very similar.
Okay, I have heard this before. I did not know. I don't know if this came from the book or this came fresh from the movie. But there's a scene where John Matuszak, former Oakland Raider, his name was Shattuck in the movie, but basically he says to the Charles Durning assistant coach, every time I call it a game, you call it a business, and every time I call it a business, you call it a game.
That is something I heard on a Reds broadcast Jeff Brantley say. He quoted North Dallas 40.
Okay.
To me, that's the nugget. That's the yin-yang, whatever you want to call it, between ownership, the essence, the ownership versus player, cat and mouse game that is played. Ultimately, the shipping tycoon that owns the club that is worth $5 billion. And, I mean, there's been like one owner, maybe two owners rooted out in professional sports. If you
in history.
In the history, at least recent history.
Yeah.
So if you own the team, you ain't getting fired.
You have a license. And, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, there's a great scene in the end when our protagonist, Phil, is talking to the coach, and he basically says, you know, we're not the team, we're the equipment. And they just write us off as we depreciate. And that is if, you know, as you want to boil again the essence of this movie down, it's looking at a professional sport that people watched with a certain amount of expectation or understanding and pulling the veil off and saying, if you want to look behind of what it looked like at this point, you know, it's not a pretty picture. And I, you know, I also see this movie now like, wow, all the movies that have come after Any Given Sunday, right? I mean, that Oliver Stone did. You know, there's been a lot of movies that have portrayed some version of the football story in a way. And I think this movie, probably at least artistically, if not, I mean, it did make money, right? What did it do, Dave? That we don't know how much the budget was.
Yeah, it was like $26 million or something like that.
So, I mean, it doesn't look like a big budget movie, right? I mean,
no, no, because the football scenes would, I mean, I thought I was watching a high school game.
Right.
There weren't any crowd shots or anything like that. They didn't have the South Carolina Stadium full like the program, and you know, didn't have the Rudy Notre Dame scenery or whatever.
No,
there was no just very bare bones, I would say.
Yeah. No, and you know, apparently what we, you know, the NFL was not, I mean, clearly the NFL was not involved in any way.
26 million was the gate.
The gate. But basically what they do know is that there were people connected to the NFL, and specifically there were 3 teams that canceled scouting contracts with one of the guys with a Hall of Famer, a guy named Tom Fears. And then Fred Biletnikoff at this time, who basically participated in this movie. I think if you see some of the catches early on that are Nick Nolte, they're actually Fred Biletnikoff.
You know, you just mentioned that name, and I thought he is.
That looks
he is kind of a Fred Biletnikoff type of player, one of those lifers that, you know, can just, you know, catch the ball with 3 fingers kind of thing.
Well, and specifically, he was Nick Nolte's acting coach for the movie.
That makes perfect sense.
So, yeah, all that makes sense. But all those, and then another guy, a guy that was in the movie, Tommy Riemann, he played Delma, was actually on the 49ers and was cut. Okay. And then never, ever signed again by anybody. So, you know.
And they flashed a little behind the scenes maneuvering, if you will, from a coach where the coach says, "Hey, Phil, you're going to start." He kind of throws that out there, and it's actually just a ploy to get Delma to start, because he's injured too, and he's worried about his spot. So he goes out there and plays, and Nick Nolte, Phil Elliott, talks about that. And I think, that's probably something that is done among coaching circles. They don't readily admit it in the coach speak interviews and things like that, but there is part of that going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And this movie, I think, in a couple of ways, portrays this corruption that when you have this myopic focus of trying to play and then attain the level of being a professional athlete, and this is your dream, your brain's pretty focused on that. So, I mean, they, in different ways, they show some of the players that are more, I would say, pious and religious in nature. They show basically, first of all, that the other players don't trust them, and then, try to corrupt them. And this is the same way. They show Delma in this movie as the one player who knows, like, this is my body, and if I do these things to it in the short term, I'm going to pay for it long term. He has some objectivity to it, whereas Nick Nolte admits that he will do all this just for the high of the feeling he gets by being, a professional football player and making a great catch, which kind of presents, I think, a pretty 360 kind of viewpoint of the I guess, the bargain you make if you have the ability to make this a life that you can choose and then have to, make these decisions along the way.
This movie was directed by Ted Kotcheff, who died earlier this year at the age of 94.
Hello, that's a good run.
Yeah, he was the director, Weekend at Bernie's and First Blood.
Okay, a couple of big franchises there.
He knew his way around a big-time movie.
No, that's Peter Gent wrote this, played for Tom Landry, wrote the screenplay with Ted. This is an interesting movie that I wonder, I've heard, and I know you've heard because you were more of a fan of it before, but like the program gets cited as a realistic movie that people watch that have played professional football. You don't hear people talking about North Dallas 40, and maybe it's so dated is part of that. But I just wonder, if basically the stink that was put hard on it at the time, because I would not have been aware of if the NFL was trying to basically have a PR campaign against this movie. At 14 years old, I wouldn't have known that, Dave.
I love 1979, such an innocent year as far as the NFL, because we just didn't know the ramifications of what and the impact and the physical toll that the game was taking on these players that we watched, and just kind of, Sunday afternoon at 1, Sunday afternoon at 4, watching the Cowboys, watching the Raiders and all that stuff. It was not. We just didn't see that grit. We didn't see that it was just and at that time, and I don't know when they stopped, but NFL Films would run an hour-long program of vicious hits.
Absolutely.
Vicious hits, and you do not see that anymore, my friend.
No.
You don't see
you
that.
Don't. That would be litigious.
No, you don't. But at the time, those hits where they threw the guy up in the air and he did a flip or whatever, or just
helmet pops off,
absolutely, hit a quarterback blindsided.
Yeah,
that was done every week and celebrated in 1979.
If you go back, if you would look on YouTube or be able to find and pull the promotion that was done in this era by the networks, it was it would be the equivalent if you were promoting racing to showing crash after crash after crash. because also this was in the era where the running back was your most important offensive weapon after the quarterback, really. And the quarterback was handing off half the time. So, this was the game was different,
Very, very, very tough for running backs today to be celebrated, to be a superstar.
Right.
They're more of a piece as opposed to the piece.
Yeah. Yeah. We got one guy basically in the NFL right now, which would be the Philadelphia Eagles guy who can jump defenders with a single bound.
Would that be Saquon Barkley?
One of the best names too, Dave.
I'm glad I've got it right now. We are. Any other thoughts? Any final words of wisdom from North Dallas 40?
It got decent critical reviews. I don't think when I looked it up on like Rotten Tomatoes, it wasn't that great. I think so. I think this is one of those movies that if this is if you're a kind of a sports movie person and haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a look. But it's not a happy movie. We're not going to tell you to go there to get some chuckles because that's not what this one's about.
Now, old man in the room comparing football to 2025 to 1979. Okay.
Yes, Dave.
You got me there. You got me there, folks. But our next movie, we go back to the ancient year of 2014.
Wow.
And
Dave.
We go to
I remember that year.
2014. We go to draft day.
Oh, yeah.
And when you look at the draft as it was portrayed in 2014 versus the draft now, when you basically have a full Roman Colosseum with a circus and a marching band and a full orchestra. I'm sorry, a full orchestra. Cecil D. DeMille, whoever the big director is now. When you compare the draft of 2014 to now, it's just completely mind-blowing. 3 days, network, music.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-day Oscar award ceremony. Yeah. I don't know how to describe the draft today versus 2014, but we'll talk about that next week with draft day. We got Costner, we got Jennifer Garner, we've got just a big cast. Just an incredible. It's kind of like a Spinal Tap as far as the number of people that kind of work their way onto the screen. You got that's Ellen Burstyn, that's Rosanna Arquette, that's Dennis O'Leary. Is it O'Leary?
Dennis Leary. It's Leary.
It's not O'Leary. Sorry.
No Leary. Yeah, no cow involved, but Roger Goodell is in this movie, Dave.
Chris Berman, Rich Eisen, who will replace, I'm going to say right now,
I'm ready for it.
We're done. I know we're done on this show. Rich Eisen will replace Stephen Colbert on CBS. Mark it down, July 29th. 2025. Mark it down. Take it to the bank. I also predicted, and this is no great shakes, I heard somebody talk about it yesterday, college football, Big Ten, SEC, forming 2 leagues, Super Bowl type thing. We talked about this years ago. It's going to happen. I don't know how they will fold in the other conferences or whatever, but it's going to be a Big Ten champion, SEC champion meeting in a college football type Super Bowl. Will they have the other conferences in? I don't know. But that's going to happen. They're moving. And then I heard somebody say, we're talking all this stuff. I go, you could see this coming a mile away. But look for Rich Eisen to take over for Stephen Colbert. I think it'd be a great pick because Rich Eisen could bring in those. I think they need to bring in older celebrities to match that demo at 11:30. Look for it. I don't know. That's my prediction of the day.
Dave, it's interesting. It's interesting. And first of all, what they've said, they've killed the Late Show. They've killed the franchise. So they're going to be open to. So that to me if you kill the franchise, you bring in somebody that's different from a different walk, right? I also know part of the reason this makes sense to me, and this is weird, Dave, that I would tell you this or think this.
Well, is
okay. The Kelsey brothers. Okay, one of them dates Taylor Swift,
yes.
right? Okay.
Wait a minute. Can I just say something? Can I just say something,
yes.
Dave?
Yes.
I'm sitting here agreeing with you. I have no idea where you're going.
I'm going.
Why am I doing that?
You're a friend, Dave. Jason. Okay, Travis Kelsey, I believe, is the one that dates. Is Travis the one with the Chiefs? Okay. So Jason is the retired former Eagle, correct? He has a deal with ESPN right now to start doing a 1 night a week late night show. And I don't know when it's going to start. But when I heard that, because, I mean, he does a podcast with the brother that draws big numbers, not like you and I. It's different. They started out on video. Right. But anyway, this genre of a host, Dave, is where I'm going. Somebody who can appeal to younger and also not alienate folks our age who are going to check out the genre one way or another. So, Eisen does well from what I see on, the viral clips, right? So that makes sense. So, Dave, I wrote it down. On the 29th of July, in a Peachcast.
2025.
Peach Prediction, Rich Eisen, CBS Late Night. Get ready.
I can't wait. And again, it is Untoasted episode, or I should say movie number 66, North Dallas Sporting. Next up, Draft Day with Kevin Costner and a cast of thousands. We'll have that. David, always fun to talk.
My pleasure, Dave. Have a fantabulous rest of your day.
Okay, Crawfordsville Peachcast is available at crawfordsvillepeachcast.podbean.com. Like, share, and subscribe. We're on Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. I just love saying Podbean.
It's fun.
Podbean.
And
Podbean.
to make sure, this is for Ann Harper, Dave.
Yes.
Podbean. We're making sure that N is clear at the end of the word.
Until next time, America, for Dave Meyer, I'm Dave Peach. Thanks for listening to the Crawfordsville Peachcast.
Thank you for listening to the Crawfordsville Peachcast. If you enjoyed it, follow the podcast and ring the bell so that way you'll always be up to date with the newest episodes. We'll see you next time.